find myself wanting to say, what a performance. So it sounds a bit like a line from a Carry On film or something, and not quite what I mean, but that was an amazing thing to crop up in the middle of our festival. Anyway, my name is Bill Banks Jones. I artistic director of Tete a Tete, white man in my 60s, glasses, baseball cap, terrible lighting, pronouns are he, him. And let me invite our panel, which are Roger, the auteur behind the work, and somewhere there should be Donna. But um, Roger, let's start with you. We've got about 15 minutes to talk about this and think about this. And here we are. Here's Donna. I'll just name you so everybody knows. But this piece, we've talked for quite a long time about this, haven't we? It's had a huge back end and has changed shape quite a lot since we first talked. I wonder if you just give our audience a glimpse of those conversations, Roger.
I think its back end went further back than our first conversation
Oh,
as well.
very probably,
So,
yeah.
it started, a friend of mine, Aga, had me. Sorry, I can hear an echo next door. I'm going to shut this. Friend of mine, Aga, in the first lockdown, sort of asked me to write for a singer, and just to come up with a like an aria. There was no other impetus apart from that. And we ended up doing something based around Susskind's Perfume. Um, and then having finished it, I quite liked it. That was the fourth movement, and thought, oh, I'd like to do more from Perfume, but Susskind's estate weren't talking to me. So rather than roll with that, I thought, well, it's that song was sort of so much about kind of scent, that I thought, well, it would be interesting to explore other senses through literary figures. And I love sort of collaborative work and things. So I threw it out to a few writer friends of mine, to see if any of them wanted to construct a poem based around a character of their choice that they felt kind of personified one of the other senses. And I got these amazing poems back, and sort of set to work seeing what I could do with them.
It's really, really interesting because, I'm involved in the development of a lot of operas, and you're really like pushing the definition of opera in this performance.
Sorry.
No, it's fantastic. It was a fantastic thing. But I'm always like discourage people to look at poetic stuff because it seems like it's the job of the composer to supply that, and that a libretto in a more conventional opera seems to be needs to be a bit more banal and bland, really, and there to inspire the composer. So I think it's
Interesting.
really successful what you did, but it's also a really interesting question. How was it for you to be handed all this extremely poetic material? And also, you answer that, Roger, but later we must ask Donna, how was it for you? Because that's quite a headful you had. There you were looking $1 million, and then you had a band like the very best of Ronnie Scott's, and then this words from another dimension, really. And it made a fantastic result. But yeah, how was it for each of you? Roger first.
So I mean, I have a singer-songwriter background, and so I've always been responsible for my own words in a way. And so this was amazing, actually, to kind of get rid of that responsibility, and kind of deal with what just came. I loved how abstract most of them were. Well, degrees of abstraction really in there. I think the one that I did in the end was the most abstract.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really like starting out with kind of a clear idea of where you're going, and then just seeing what's going to throw you off that path, and sort of rolling with it. And that's, I guess, what happened here. Um,
But it was a beautiful, beautiful result. So, Donna, how was it for you being flung into the middle of all that?
Yeah, well, so first of all, apologies also for the awful lighting. But yeah, I think I've done, I mean, I've done a lot of kind of contemporary things before, And in opera particularly, it's an interesting question that you raise, because I often find that regardless of whether it's of how bizarre it can be, there is always a narrative. There is always something that kind of threads it all together. And I suppose in this sense there was, the idea of senses. But each of the pieces, even though they were linked through their kind of musical content, they were still kind of lyrically quite different. And also they represented different characters. So
Mm.
then I sort of had to start thinking, well, who am I as the singer? Who is this person? Should I kind of be a character? And I tried to sort of talk to, well, Roger and I sort of spoke to each other about it, because it's such an interesting thing to kind of be this sort of vessel almost of, kind of talking all of these words. And I was thinking, well, is she just a bit of a deranged kind of person, slightly, or is she going through some sort of multiple personality disorder or something? But I think it was about actually being aware that the human condition has met, you go through many different emotions, many different thoughts and feelings, and thinking, well, actually, this one person is kind of going through those stages. And it was interesting the way that they were set in the final one, I find, is the most tender, talking about how skin is silk. And it's such a beautiful sort of idea, and like a love song. So she's kind of gone through all these, and the one previous to that is about him extracting scent from a dead person, so and then trying to kind of, so but that it goes to the height of kind of absurdism, before then it sort of then kind of comes back to this very tender place. So there is a kind of narrative, I think that's my job as a singer, is to try and find, even in these very absurd pieces, is to try and find that narrative. And while might not necessarily be a kind of an opera in the traditional sense, it's still about finding that flow and that narrative, I think. So yeah,
Yeah,
it was a challenge, but I enjoyed it. Yeah.
that's super interesting. A housekeeping note and a semi-housekeeping note. I forgot to say, but Leo's kindly typed it in the chat, that for our audience, though we've obliterated your video and sound, you are really welcome to post questions in the chat. We'd appreciate that very much. If there's anything you want to know, find out about, or even congratulate for, so just type it. It's the thing at the bottom with the speech bubble that says chat underneath. That will get you where you need to go. And the semi-housekeeping thing, that time I followed it with the words, and it was really interesting, completely different experience to be reading while listening to it. So for anybody who managed to pick up the words, I'd recommend watch it again without. And for anybody who did watch it without, I'd recommend watching it with, because part of inevitably what's interesting is like whether you deviate from the words, Roger, that like the big cuss at the end of bride cake or whatever, or you put in some little repetitions and things like that. That it's really interesting to see that. It's really interesting what you say, Donna, because you clearly really did make us an opera. As you were speaking, I was processing in my own mind the benchmark of a dramatic work is, could they be lying? And of course, if there's only you, that's quite difficult, because who are you lying to? But when you describe how you felt like, if I've got it right, a character trying to figure out who she is, figure out like in the middle of all this what's going on, then I do understand that. And you could be going, well, it might be like this. No, I got that wrong, or whatever. It's very really super abstract form of opera. You've gone way past Beck here, haven't you? And how was it to sing?
Um, it's an interesting work. I mean, Roger kind of came to me knowing that I'm a soprano. And the work was written, I think, originally for a mezzo soprano. So there's some very low stuff in there. I mean, there's like kind of low Fs and things, and so I think that there were two challenges. So that was the first one, is navigating the range of it, to actually, I'm normally quite high soprano, so then to try and develop that lower range and to make it carry. And that smoothly goes on to point two, is that trying to make it carry and resonate over quite a large band that are making a lot of lovely noise. But yeah, I think obviously watching it back, you can hear that perhaps, there are moments, especially lower in my range, where it gets lost just a little bit. So I think, yeah, in terms of moving forward in the future, yeah, it'd be lovely to kind of record it and to get those kind of nuances a little bit more.
Mm.
We spoke about kind of amplification and things like that, but nevertheless, I think even though perhaps some of it was a bit lost, it still came across that kind of live connection between singer and band, I think is always really interesting. And if you start to amplify one thing or another, then it sort of loses that connection a little bit more, I think. So it felt like a whole piece. It's just whether, those it carried. That was the only that was the
Yeah.
only issue. So yeah, but otherwise, it's a gorgeous bit of music, and it's very jazzy, something that I've never sort of done before. Lots of 5/8 and 7/8, and lots of syncopated rhythms and things, which really it's a challenge to learn and to sing, but equally really a really fun challenge. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
It's another interesting glimpse into the mind of a performer that you've got so much to think about as you're delivering it. When, we already talked about the psychology, and then there's the mechanism of the delivery in your own voice. But you did a fantastic job. And I don't think anybody was sitting there going, well, she's not a mezzo. I never occurred to me. I just thought you sold the whole thing absolutely beautifully. And we've got another performer in the room, because Roger, you were not only did you put the whole thing together and write it and produce it, but you also performed it. How was that? I mean, two questions about that. Was it overwhelming, and did it give you a chance, in your other jobs, to stand back from the performing and really gauge how it was going? Or
I'll answer the second question first. No, it didn't. And it was quite interesting watching it tonight then, kind of back with a composer's hat on, thinking, okay, well, which bits are working in this performance, and which bits could I, as composer, kind of develop and change to make fit better. Because I loved performing it, and I have never, oh no, I have, that's not quite true. I've very rarely sent a work out into the world and not been part of the performance of it. And so I think there was a little bit of me that just wanted to grab a hold of this as a performer, and maintain a part of that as it went out into the world. In rehearsals, I on a couple of occasions when they were asking me kind of questions about I don't know, questions of performance. But they were asking me as a composer. I did say, I'm no longer the composer here. Ask the conductor, who's actually here as well. Roger's, I noticed that Roger's watching too. But I had to step back and defer to Roger, who was amazing leading us through the whole thing. It's many years since I've been conducted as well, and that was a great experience. I really enjoyed that.
I'm just seeing if I can activate. Is it Roger Redgate?
It is.
My forgetfulness there. Well, if you're very welcome to join us, we've only just got a couple of minutes left. But you want to step in and say how it was for you, Roger, you'd be very welcome.
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can indeed, yes.
Yeah, I mean it's a wonderful piece. It's really nicely constructed and it's nicely written. There's this really interesting dynamic between the voice and the band, which is interesting to work on, and you always get that thing where conductors are saying to composers, do you want it like this? Do you want it like that? And if the composer's not there, you have to make a decision for yourself, So it's part of the job in a way to assess how it's sounding from outside and how the balance is. Obviously, if you're pitting a soprano against three saxophones and a drum kit, there are problems without amplification. But I think it came across well. It did work. I think I agree with Donna. It'd be nice to record it and balance everything out very carefully.
Yeah, that would be really, really nice. Yeah, I love the idea of you've got the composer there playing in front of you and all the things you can't say or you shouldn't say or you want to say or whatever. But maybe we shouldn't go there. We have hit our time's up time already, which seems a bit of a surprise because there is so much more we could be talking about. But I think we should just go and watch it again. Is the best thing to do if you want to revisit it. We have to go because we have to piece ourselves together for the next two watch parties. But thank you very much, all, and thanks for a great piece. Well done indeed.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, thanks very
Performers
much,
and
Bill.
writers.
Thank you.
All right.